Company background. Malayan Banking Berhad, known as MAYBANK, was incorporated on 31st May 1960, founded by Singaporean business. MAYBANK is a Malaysian universal bank with key operating home market of Malaysia, Singapore and Indonesia, with the most valuable bank brand according to 2020 Brand Finance Report. MAYBANK also is Malaysia's largest bank by market capitalization and total assets, and one of the largest banks in Southeast Asia, and also is the largest public listed company on Bursa Malaysia. The vision is advancing Asia ambition with you, which is to be a regional financial services leader. The mission is humanizing financial services across Asia. MAYBANK humanizes financial services by providing the people with convenient access to financing, having fair terms and pricing, advising customers based and on their needs, and being at the heart of community.
Moving to management approach, there are three factors to consider having a segmental report. First is nature of the business. Nature of the business refers to the type of business products and services provided by the company. The second factor is type of target customer. It refers to the classes of customer that MAYBANK will dealing with. Third is information presented to the board of directors. The chief operating decision maker may refer to the reports evaluated by the board of directors since it includes valuable information about the company. It will help the chief operating decision makers making a better decision. Next is type of segment. Business segment is part of the company that can be identified by the product and services provided. There are 5 business segments of MAYBANK Berhad, which are Group Community Financial Services, Group Corporate Banking and Global Markets, Group Investment Banking, Group Asset Management and Group Insurance and Takaful. Next, I will be presenting on the Chief Operating Decision Maker of MAYBANK Berhad. CODM is a function with a purpose to allocate resources to and assess the performance of the operating segment. Based on the accounting policies of MAYBANK's group, the company has determined that the Group Executive Committee of the bank as its Chief Operating Decision Maker. So in this slide is Dato' Abdul Farid alias, the Group President and Chief Executive Officer of the Group Executive Committee of MAYBANK Berhad. He will be responsible for allocating resources to the operating segments and assessing its performance. He is also responsible for communicating on behalf of the company to the stakeholders, government entities and the public. Each segment will be directed by their own Chief Executive Officers. The Group Executive Committee members will assist Dato' Abdul Farid alias in fulfilling his roles as Chief Operating Decision Makers of MAYBANK Berhad.
I will proceed to the process to identify the reportable segment and non-reportable segment. To identify it, there are 2 main quantitative thresholds. The first one is 10% quantitative threshold test and the second one is 75% threshold test. In 10% quantitative threshold test, there are 3 types, which is revenue, profit or loss, and assets. We can use either one of this type to calculate this 10% test. They must be equal or more than 10% to be considered as reportable segment and disclosed separately. In revenue, the entities reported total revenue from sales to external customer and inter-segment. Next one is profit or loss. The amount of reported profit or loss of the segment of either the combined profit or loss of all operating segment. The last one is asset, which total sales of operating segment compared either total sales of all operating segment of the company. For 75% revenue requirement, according to MFRS 8, operating requirement segments which should report the information separately with regard to the operating segment only if it's past the quantitative of 10% threshold test and 75% threshold to identify qualification reportable of the operating segment. So, we are deciding to use revenue basis for Maybank Berhad to measure our operating segment on 10% test. Here is the original segment revenue as reported in annual report at December 2021. According to the calculation shown above, after performing a 10% threshold test, there are only 3 reportable segments are identified, which are: the first one is community financial service, the second one is corporate banking and global market, and lastly is insurance and takaful. Since investment banking, asset management, and head office and others does not meet the requirement of 10% threshold test, it will be combined together and disclosed as 4 other segments categories in segmental report. After determining the reportable segment, we must look at segmental analysis of 75% threshold, in which the total external revenue of reportable segment must be at least 75% of total external revenue of Maybank Berhad. As shown in the table, after performing 75% threshold, the reportable segment are 104.37%, which exceed 75%. Therefore, no additional segmentals to be reported. However, in order to have at least 4 reportable segment and 1 non-reportable segment, we have to make additional adjustment of operating segment as shown in this table. This is addition of shareholder unit segment in new operating segment adjustment. As a result of adjustment, Maybank Berhad has 4 reportable segment and 3 non-reportable segment. In comparison, the new segment reported by using adjustment of new operating segment will change the reportable status. As calculation by using revenue basis, there are 4 reportable segments that meet the 10% threshold requirement. It's comprised community financial service, which is 53%, corporate banking and global market 31.1%, insurance and takaful 10%, and lastly shareholders 10%. For investment banking, asset management, and head office and others will report it as all other segments as it fails to meet the 10% threshold requirement. However, if Maybank Berhad believes that the information in this non-reportable segment is depending to the user of financial statements, we may choose to include the investment banking, asset management, and head office and others as reportable segment by applying 75% test, since the 75% threshold has been satisfied by the company of 104.37%. Therefore, we may simply ignore the all other segments.
Thank you, Ms. Bila. Based on her statement, we can see that segment reporting is important to help financial statement user better understand company performance, better assess company prospects for future cash flow, and make more informed judgment about company as well. Now, let's take a look at the advantage of segment reporting. First one, it helps potential investors in better investment decisions. Segment reporting helps investors see the full picture of a company, but for most financial investors and without segment reporting, they might only see the company doing well, but an investor may be worried that a company only is having profit in one sector and not having successful sector as well in the company. It is argued that segment information enables the financial statement user to better analyze the uncertainties surrounding the timing and amount of expected cash flow. Second one, allocation of resources. Segment information, if disclosed to party outside the enterprise, will play an important role in improving the allocation of scarce resources in a company. Non-availability of information creates uncertainty in the investment market and thereby make the investment market inefficient. The disclosure of information removes the imperfection in the investment market and causes the market to function properly. Last but not least, the advantage to analyze most profitable or loss-making unit. For many business with many sectors, segment reporting is the best way to analyze the profit and losses for a sector. However, segment reporting also respects the fact that many businesses that have multiple sectors are decentralized. Next, we will look at the disadvantage of segment reporting. The first one, it is a time and analyze consuming process. Although it is mandated by the SEC, segment reporting may be seen as a large hindrance of time. For example, many losses are shared across the sector. Tax, especially property tax. If the sector shares one building and is a shared expense between all sectors, the segment report may be redundant in its property tax reporting for each sector if the sector of a business uses the same building. The second one, segment information might be misleading to the investor and other external users who read it. Operating data by segment are developed for internal management users, although the nature and limitation of segment data are known to internal management users. External users have difficulty in understanding them and using them in investment decisions. Last, the disadvantage is presenting the result of segment operation to external user could lead to competitive damage. Confidential information will be revealed to competitors about profitable or unprofitable products, plans for new products, or entries into new market. Apparent weakness which might induce competitors to increase their own effort to take advantage of the weakness and the existence of advantage not otherwise indicated. Let's proceed to the interim report presentation. This is of preparation. The financial statement of the bank and its subsidiaries of the bank prepared in accordance with Malaysian Financial Reporting Standard, International Financial Reporting Standards, and the requirement of the Companies Act 2016 Malaysia. The financial statement of the group and of the bank have been prepared on a historical cost basis. The group and the bank present their statement of financial position in order of liquidity. The financial statements are presented in Ringgit Malaysia and all value are rounded to the nearest thousand. The consolidated financial statement comprises the financial statement of the bank and its subsidiaries, including the equity accounting of interest in associate and joint venture as at 31 December 2021. The financial statement of the bank subsidiaries, associate and joint venture are prepared for the same reporting date as the bank, using consistent accounting policies for transaction and event in similar circumstances. So, a lot of company policies are used in preparing this interim report. If I were to highlight two of it, the first one is FAR570, intangible asset. An intangible asset is recognized only when its cost can be measured reliably and it is probable that the expected future economic benefits that are attributable to it will flow to the group and the bank. Intangible assets are measured at cost less any accumulated amortization and any accumulated impairment loss, except for software in development, which is not subject to amortization until the development is completed and the asset is available for use. The useful life of intangible assets are assessed as either finite or indefinite. The next accounting policies is FAR570, property, plant and equipment. All items of property, plant and equipment are initially recorded at cost. The cost of an item of property, plant and equipment is recognized as an asset if and only if it is probable that future economic benefit associated with the item will flow to the group and the bank, and the cost of the item can be measured reliably. Subsequent to initial recognition, all items of property, plant and equipment are measured at cost less accumulated depreciation and accumulated impairment losses, if any. Freehold land has an unlimited useful life and therefore is not depreciated. Work in progress are not depreciated until the development is completed and is available for use. Depreciation of other property, plant and equipment is computed on a straight line basis over its estimated useful life at the following annual rates.
There are 5 types of interim report by Maybank Berhad, which are: the first one is condensed income statement, the second one is condensed statement of comprehensive income, the third is condensed statement of financial position, the fourth is consolidated statement of changes in equity, and lastly, condensed statement of cash flows.
Next, I will present the period of current and comparative statements prepared by Maybank Berhad for the second quarter of 2021, which ended on 30th June 2021. The comparative for income statement is income statement for the year ended 30th June 2020. The comparative statement for interim statement of comprehensive income is statement of comprehensive income for the year ended 30th June 2020. For statement of financial position, the comparative statement is statement of financial position as at 31st December 2020. Lastly, for statement of cash flow and changes in equity, the interim report dated 30th June 2021 are based on the comparative statement for the year ended 30th June 2020. The next part will be presented by Hazika.
Next, for the adjustment, for adjustment 1 on intangible asset. On 1st October 2021, a software costing RM200,000 that was purchased on 1st January 16 with the expected useful life of 10 years was disposed, and its carrying value on the date was RM100,000. Then on 14 October 2021, a new software was acquired at the cost of RM500,000, which is expected to be used for 10 years. On 1st January 2021, the balance BD for cost and accumulated amortization was RM10,744,605 and RM2.451 million respectively. And at the end of year 2021, the balance for cost was RM10,744,905, accumulated amortization RM3.525 million, and for accumulated impairment loss was RM1.644 million. For the second adjustment on property, plant and equipment, on 31st December 2021, a building with fair value of RM800,000 was transferred from investment property to owner occupied. There was a change in use of the building. So this is the extract statement of financial position as at 31st December 2021. Before adjustment, the cost of PPE, IP and IA was RM2,029,989, RM975,048 and RM6,683,461 respectively. And after the adjustment, the cost of PPE was RM2,130,789. Cost of IP was RM974,248, and cost of IA was RM5,574,443.